Hey guys. So I am what I consider anyways to be a bit of a horse nerd. What I mean by that is I kind of get lost in the details of riding horses and horse behavior. I love the little nuances that a lot of people find boring. The flashier videos of very well put together and very well dressed riders and trainers showing their fancy warm bloods, doing endless tempies and extended trot, they don't really do much for me. And I started to wonder why those videos bore me. I've been riding and training now for a long time, over 30 years. And if I'm actually really honest, it's probably more like over 35 years. That makes me feel very old. And I've been around the block and I've learned a lot in those years. I have brought many, many horses from start to being what I consider very broke. Many of these horses could have shown FEI. Maybe not Grand Prix, but darn close. I've never had a lot of money to be able to show at those higher levels, or to buy fancy horses. Gray and Cat are I am so blessed to have them. I bred Gray, and Cat my ex bought for me while I was married, and in a very generous, if not maybe a bit foolhardy move. But I've always had horses that were either off the track thoroughbreds, they were too much for somebody else, or they had behavioral problems, or even soundness problems. I just never had horses that were naturally fancy, capable horses. And I've ridden so many different disciplines. I started off doing Western. I chased cattle in Saskatchewan. I worked at jumping barns. I've done a bit of everything. I rode polo horses. I've ridden and trained horses all across Canada, 4 different provinces. I went to Alberta. I went to Saskatchewan. I worked for a Grand Prix trainer in Ontario. He was horrible. That didn't last long. That's a whole other video. But one thing I've learned is good basics are far, far more impressive, no matter what saddle you're riding in, than the tricks, the tempies, the piaffe passages. And I've learned that some people can master the tricks on a horse with patchy basics, but it always fails at some point. I've seen it. So you might be asking, what does impress me? Well, here's the point of this whole video. And while I'm in the background riding Cat, I don't think I'm perfect, and I don't think my horses go perfect, but these are things that I love to watch other people do. Plus, I love to see it in my own horses. And the first one is a horse or a rider that makes mistakes, and fixes them quietly and goes on. There's no big show. There's no big excuses. They let the horse make the mistake and they fix it, or they make a mistake and they fix it. That's normal. That's natural. You have a relationship with your horse. Yay. Let them make mistakes. Don't try and carry them around. Also, the riding with your hands forward. Ride out to your hands. I love watching riders whose hands are a little up in front of them. If you watch some of the old great riders, that's how they ride, and their hands aren't in their lap. They're not carrying their horse around. They're not grinding into the saddle. They have their hands up and forward. They're sitting up tall, and they're just swinging along with their horse. I love that. The other thing I love to see, number 2, is, well, maybe that's 3, but whatever, is seeing a horse do the opposite of what it used to do. So if you have a horse that's heavy and running, like Cat was, I love seeing him bring his head up and slow down. I even love it when he falls at a canter, because he's going, wait, I can't run, so what do I do? And I'm there going, let me show you. I don't stick him with the spur. I don't wear spurs, but I don't kick him. I don't whack him with the whip. I let him fall out. I go, good job for changing. Now let me show you how to keep going with that. And the next time he goes to hesitate, I go, oh, that's a half halt. Go forward again. So I love mistakes. I love a good walk trot transition and a trot. So up transitions and down transitions that are beautiful, flowy, soft. They're not bombing off. The horse's head doesn't get tight and tense. The tail doesn't ring. The rider isn't grinding and pushing and holding. I love a horse that just picks up his rider and swings forward. That gives me goosebumps. No ears back, no grumpiness. I love it. A horse who's truly straight. And what I mean by that is I watch them on a straightaway and they're even. I watch them turn a circle and they're bending fluidly through the body. I love a horse that can trot down a straight line, and when they're looking at me, it's just, they're straight. Like, it's so rare. It's so rare. Even I've ridden Grand Prix horses. I've gotten on horses from trainers that are supposedly high level and they're crooked, and it's like, no, that horse isn't truly through then. A truly through horse will be straight, even, flowing. If the horse is crooked, he can't flow from the back forward. It's like having a kink in a hose. It doesn't work. And I want equal on both sides. So, and that leads me to number 4, 5, whatever. A horse that can bend evenly on both sides. A horse that doesn't lose his shoulder on one side and then fall on it on the other. A horse who picks his shoulders and his chest up and bends evenly around your leg no matter what you're doing. A straight line, a change of direction. And how I can test this is if I go left and then come through the middle and do a figure 8 and do a straight line and then change his bend, the horse shouldn't fall. The horse should keep his shoulders up. So you have to ride thinking with your upward hand that the shoulders stay up and the horse bends through the whole body evenly under your seat. Not just in the neck. It's not about ripping the horse's head one way or the other. I hate that. I hate seeing people ripping horses around in little circles way over bend. That's not bend. Bend is through the whole body, because they're up and lifted and they're lengthening through the spine. Oh, I love it. It gives me goosebumps. A horse that doesn't bear down on the reins, but lifts. Again, you can see here on Cat, in my canter work, I'm not asking, I don't care that he's not round. I don't care that he doesn't have his head down. If anything, you can see me with my hands going, hey, no, come up. Hey, no, don't lean forward, come up. And he's going, well, what the heck am I supposed to do? And I'm like, just try cantering different. And he's trying. Give him tons of credit. Trying. It's not as pretty, but in that smaller space in the indoor arena, he used to just go around because it was so small and he kind of just bounced off the walls. And I knew this was going to probably happen when I took him to the bigger outdoor, but that's okay. We make mistakes, and he kind of took a couple steps back in the canter. It does not bother me in the least because I don't have a timeline. I don't care what level I'm going to show at. A swinging tail, that comes from all those things added together. I think that's number 6 or 7. I want to see that horse's tail loosely swinging, that it makes that little loop in the tail at the end. I don't want ringing. I don't want aggressive swinging. I want a nice, steady swing like a metronome. A soft, quiet trot canter or walk canter. Oh my gosh, when the horse just walks and then just steps and you're like, how did they do that? When they're trotting and they just step into canter and they lift and they go forward and they reach. You go, how did they do that? Now, Cat here is showing an easier canter. It's not done. Great, but they're never done. That's just it. You're never done. So it's going to improve and get better. Graysons are even softer and easier, but, they're not done either. A balanced, soft halt and downward transition. Again, where the horse is cantering and then you sit up and you lift a little and he lifts a little and you can feel him start to sit back. I want him to land like a plane lands. I want him to lift the front end and drop his bum. I want him to lift his front end and step underneath and softly come to halt. I don't want him slamming into the ground. It's all just a picture of, I like soft, I like loose, I like swinging. I ride my horses at a little slower tempo than some of the dressage trainers out there. I take inspiration from Anya Baron with that because I don't really care about going to a show and winning ribbons. I want a horse that in 10 years is still happily doing his job, improving and sound. And Grayson is a great example of this. Now, one of the things I talked about was a horse reaching forward to the contact, and I don't like a horse behind the vertical. However, Grayson is a great example of a horse who gets very tight in his back and his neck folds up quicker than a collapsible, like he just collapses into it. Good stiff wind and he wants to go behind the vertical. I work every single day begging him to reach forward. And I sometimes am successful and sometimes I look at my videos after I'm like, oh, he's a little behind. But every day I'm trying and I know it's not just his neck, it's him tight in the back. And so I work every day to get it swinging. So I'm not condemning people whose horses are a little behind the vertical. Gray, especially when he's 10s, especially when he was younger, he did it. And I worked very hard to try and get it out of there. But again, every ride I was focused on no reach, no lift and reach, push out. So that's the end of this video. I hope you liked all the little videos and pictures I did here, and I hope you tune in again for another one.